we're all set to go live. Looks like we have everything set up, so bring it live. Hello everyone, hope everyone's doing well today. I've got some new deck ideas for the standard format, and based off of one of our last interactions in a draft, it got me inspired to build this one deck, and I have no clue how it's going to perform, and am very interested to see how well it works, and that's the IV Battlemage. And another deck idea I came up with was just really randomly off the top of my head, and it is a new fight rigging deck idea. Not sure how well it's going to play out, but we'll have to give it a try as well. So I figure we'll lead off with our IV Battlemage deck idea here, since it's, the one I'm actually most excited to try between the two at the moment. So, if this is the deck idea for IV Battlemage, and I call it IV Battlemage because we have Ivy the Gleeful Spell Thief here, that whenever a player casts a spell that targets only a single creature other than Ivy Gleeful Spell Thief, you may copy that spell to target Ivy. And the other card we're taking advantage of is the Balmor Battlemage Captain, that is whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, we get to give all of our creatures +1/+0 and trample until end of turn. Now, I wanted to try out this deck because when we were in a draft, I ended up getting these two cards, and they end up achieving some amazing wins. And I'm curious what happens if you just build a deck for it. Now, one of the things is it's going to be a deck that's going to want us to get these pump spells to be aggressive against our opponent, but at the same time, we need to make sure to protect our cards, so we're going to be using things like Slip Out the Back and Shore Up to help protect them. One of the fun things about the Spell Thief here, though, is that we can use cards that are auras, and they'll also copy them. So if we use something like Combat Research here, where Enchanted Creature has now the ability to deal, whenever it deals combat damage to a player, we get a draw card. It also has the other tag that if our creature is legendary, it gets +1/+1 and has Ward 1. This is particularly useful because if we actually have Spell Thief in play as well as the Battlemage Captain, it means that we can actually apply the Combat Research to Captain, get it for the Spell Thief, and we'll have both of these creatures with an extra +1/+1, have the Ward 1, so that way it's a little harder for our opponent to just direct remove them. And we'll be able to get extra draw triggers. But it's still very useful to have Combat Research in the deck because we do have all flying creatures as our goal. Only non-flyer is Delver's Secrets, who has the ability to transform into the Aberration here. Now, I'm not too sure how well the Battlewing Mystic is going to go in the deck, but I figure if we end out empty-handed, we're going to want, to be able to kick this to get ourselves the draw. Now, if we aren't empty-handed, it's still a decent 2/1 flyer for 2 mana, so it's a nice early aggressive body. Kind of like our Storm Chaser Drake, but the Storm Chaser Drake has the benefit that if we target with any spell, we get to draw cards. So, I'm not sure if we'll need the Mystic, because we do run a number of cards that allow us to potentially draw, but it doesn't hurt to have that kicker if we get into a game where we didn't have an answer to a board wipe, so we could play Mystic, potentially refill our hand, and keep going. Now, the Gizmite here, we're not taking full effect of the domain. We're only going to potentially see this as a 1 mana +3/+3, but that's still a... I'm sorry, let me take that. We have the ability to take advantage of the full domain to make this a 1 mana +5/+5, but we're most likely only going to see this maybe as a +3/+3 for 1 mana, making a giant growth. Because we do have, like, Xander's Lounge, Proving Grounds, and Headquarters in the deck. But I'm going to be happy if we at least see this as a +3/+3. Be most optimal at 5, but we'll see how well it works out. Well, I'm really excited to see how this works out, so let's jump into the games and see how we do. One of the biggest issues with these kinds of decks is you're very reliant on drawing your, like, a decent balance of the creatures with their support spells. So we'll have to see how well we can do on that. Alright, on the open, we actually have a little slow on the land action here, but we have the ability to play the Captain and Storm Chaser Drake, so this should be pretty good. Hey there, Rusha, how things going? Saw that you announced that you managed to make it to Plat 2. Congratulations. Alright, we'll actually go with Xander's Lounge. I don't think it really matters which one of the two we led with here, because we're going slow lands all the way around here. Let's lead with Storm Chaser Drake, because if the opponent goes with spot removal to answer it, it's best for us to have this to the board first, because we can at least get card draw off of protecting it. Alright, opponent has Counterspell Magic, though. Unfortunate. I will try the Battlemage Captain. And if it's Counterspell.deck here, well, we're just in bad luck. And we give him the board symbol because... Alright. We'll just go ahead, cycle. Alright, we do find another creature. That would have been probably our most opportune time to actually resolve a creature spell there, but... Alright, opponent only has 2 mana available to them. Let's attempt to Drake once more. And apparently... Oh, it does get to resolve. Okay, we slip it out the back. Appreciate the support there, Russia. We'll go for slip out the back instead of short, because that way the card doesn't have a ability to be targeted by our opponent until our next turn after we untap. Okay, well, short this time. This way we can try to go for an aggressive play. We're going to go for a Devious Cover-Up. We'll go for a Colossal Growth, because it pumps our creature above the removal anyways. Yep. A lot of spells. But we are dealing with a counterspell heavy control deck, so... This could be an issue. Since all those spells were played, it is going to turn back to day for our opponent. So we're going to get a gain a life, draw a card, discard. Unfortunately, my greedy land base of all these triomes is going to punish us. Let's go for Captain. And we'll also go for the Delver. Alright, Wandering Mind, not too worried about. Alright, opponent gets in a Braid. Unfortunately, I just realized I tapped myself out of blue sources because Auto Tapper is definitely, you know, so friendly to us. See, it wants to not use the green source here. Alright. Let's go ahead and attack in. They take the hit. Let's pass it back. We're holding up all of our mana for all the support spells here. Okay, they pass it back to us. We'll attempt combat research. It's a shame that we hadn't hit a single Spell Thief in all of this, considering our hand would just light up the opponent for damage. Of course, they use Cover Up. They don't want us getting draw. We'll send in the attacks. Give this the bonus. So it's going to trample over, and it's going to have a nice size to it. See, opponent only has one card in hand. Can we get greedy enough to go for more damage here? Should we get greedy enough? And darn you, Auto Tapper, why won't you use the Proving Ground? We have nothing but blue cards in our hand, and you want to tap. Auto Tapper. Let's see. So 8 damage, 10 damage going through. We can add another 6, should be lethal. All right, opponent. Good game. I was actually a little worried once when we saw as much control from the opponent that we wouldn't be able to get through with this, but we actually did a pretty good job here. Appreciate the enthusiasm there. I mean, we didn't even get our Spell Thief, which is what we're really built around, but it's nice to see how well the Battlemage itself works, because it means that the opponent can't really chump block us with flyers, as it gives all of our creatures trample off of any of our spells. Alright. Let's see here. So we can lead with one of the 2 tap lands, play the Mountain, go Stormdrake. After that, we can go land, and we'll see what we draw to know if we actually risk Spell Thief to the board or not. Alright, opponent is on blue at the very least, so... Oh, it's mono blue. Get ready for tons of counterspell action here. We just gotta keep slamming until we get through all the counterspells. It's not fun, but it's what we gotta do. Alright. Ledger Shredder for our opponent. We go for Spell Thief. Next turn means that we can go for the Captain. We'll be able to hold up a green source. No blocks. I'm actually not the biggest fan of Ledger Shredder in the mono blue build. I don't feel like it has a strong enough payoff. I'm gonna pass holding up the Might. Sadly, we only have one green source here, so we can't like hold up a Colossal Growth and a Might for the same turn. Our opponent goes for a Jhin. We'll attempt Delver. Pass it back to the opponent. I don't want to double spell to give them that Ledger Shredder advantage. Kind of hoping to draw a Spell Pierce. Just that way we can Oh, wait, I didn't include Spell Pierce in this one. I forgot. In which case, we're going to be looking for Shore Up. I was thinking it's like maybe I should include a Spell Pierce in case I come across this kind of a deck here. Alright. Unfortunately, we have a lot of Spell Thieves and not much else to do with them. I feel real bad if I went for a Colossal Growth, see it get counterspelled, and not be able to get through. Let's attempt Colossal Growth with the kick. Okay, opponent lets that resolve. We'll let both of them resolve. We'll send some damage. Now, they could just bounce something here to protect themselves. They could go for a gang block, but I don't think they'll do that. Yeah, so they're just going to bounce. Alright, opponent reveals that they found a counterspell. No blocks. We want a green source off the top. Or at least something that triggers Delver here. Oh boy. Yep. Alright, so they use that to counterspell. We will get a Storm Chaser to the board. It does trigger Ledger Shredders, but at this point we just kind of have to go for it. Yeah, I mean, I have a fair number of green sources in the deck. I just, as you said, just a little unlucky on the draws here. Alright, opponent's definitely going to be coming in for some damage here, right? I'm trying to think, like, what is the best draw that we can get? Because we're going to take a bit here. So they're sending enough that we have to block something. I think we have to just block the Jhin. Decline, but we do get the green source finally, but it's just a bit too late. Because they have so much going on the battlefield for them. I guess we'll go for the Ivy. Yep. But we'll give them the GGs. Unfortunately, it just wasn't in it for us. We couldn't draw the lands right. Oh, man. It is so annoying playing against Mono Blue just because of how many counterspells they run. I was like thinking, it's like, when I'm playing this deck, probably the worst deck for us to come across is Mono Blue. Just because they run so many counterspells and we are a combat trick deck. Okay, I actually like the way this hand looks. It's a little slow because, again, we're trying 3 colors, so I'm not using enough basics in the deck, but it's better to have, you know, a slightly slower play to the board, just that way you can make sure you have your mana fixed sometimes. Alright, against mono red, possibly. Alright, which spell do we want to leave open? We want to leave Shore Up open because Might currently doesn't do anything because of the lands we drew. So, just to make sure we have the right untapped lands, I'm manually tapping. Alright, they send it in, we'll take it. That's one of the risks about running these lands, though, in this deck, is we might just only draw them, so this does nothing. But suddenly this is now +3/+3. Alright, we'll go for Spell Thief. And I guess we'll send the Drake. Alright, opponent's going to get in for 6. Brings us down to 6. We're potentially dead if they have double Lightning Strike, but I'm going to risk it. Do you really have double Lightning Strike, opponent? I'm going to be so sad if you do. Wow. Wow. Ah. Alright, so in that case, my best bet was still not going to work. Because if I tried to shore up to give us blockers, they had the answer to kill our creatures anyways. So this being a tap land actually really hurt us. Man, we got defeated by our lands once again, I feel like. Because if I'd managed to start with the Triome, things would have been fine. Because while it has to always come and play tapped, the other lands come and play untapped after their, land 3 or later. So I could have felt more safe on how we were playing to the board. Hey there, Hinch. How are things going? Yeah, my opponent is the lands, because it is a 3-color mana base. Alright, we have no green sources, so we can't keep this one. So we'll hit mulligan. I mean, we're doing okay for the most part. We're just having some rough play here because of how our lands are drawing. We'll try this hand. I'm trying to think. Which one do we keep? I think I'll send the Colossal Growth to the bottom. Actually, yeah. We'll do that. Alright, we just need our Gysaros red source for this. We'll lead with the Drake. Snaps the removal spell right away. We don't have any protection for our cards, which is a little unfortunate. Go for the Captain. If we top deck some type of protection spell, it'd be great. Because okay, well, I guess that was enough. Oh man, I wasn't expecting the opponent to scoop because I'm here. So, I mean, hopefully I'm not having too much connectivity issues. For some reason, my upload just tanked. Like, my download speed is super high still, but my upload, for some reason, went down to like a 0.1 or something megabyte upload. And it's still not going up as high as it usually is. Normally I sit around like 4 or 5, which isn't super high, but it's usually, you know, that's good enough for doing streaming. And now it's not really wanting to push over 1. Hopefully this isn't going to be a continuing thing for right now. I mean, yeah, Risha, I mean, sorry that I'm having some connectivity here, issues here, but thanks for the welcome back there. Oh, well, I guess we'll just continue with the games. Hopefully we won't have any more interruptions. Yeah, it is kind of weird. I wasn't having, like I said, any issues according to my thing. But let's see how this works. Oh, wow, there's a huge delay now. All right. Well, on the open, we'll just go ahead and hit mulligan here. This isn't going to work out. I mean, you might just be right, Arusha. Someone just might be. Alright, I don't really like this hand too much, but it's keepable. We'll go down the Mystic. And keep it like that. Alright, we'll go for Delver. Go for Proving Grounds. Well, we find ourselves another pump spell, which is always nice. But more importantly, it transforms the Aberration and opponent immediately scoops. Alright. I mean, I guess that's a way to win. I mean, I know turn 1 transformation is usually hard to handle. But I was not expecting the opponent to just immediately scoop. I thought they'd at least, you know, take one more turn of draw, see what they could find. Oh man, I'm so fighting the lands in this deck. Might need to double check them, but... Alright, we'll hit mulligan. Wow. You know what? We're going to still keep it. I don't think it's a good hand, but we just have lots of 2-drop threats here, so we may as well see how that works out. Yeah, it was very quick for that last game. Alright, we'll go for the Mystic. When we draw an untapped land, we can play Spell Thief and potentially Combat Research, depending on the untapped land. Harvester is kind of bad for us. Alright, let's go for another Mystic. This was probably a better turn for us to actually have gone for Spell Thief, used it as a distraction. Hey there, Hench. Welcome back. Yeah, Meat Hook Massacre. Unfortunate. This is another reason why I was thinking it maybe have been better for us to go for Spell Thief. Because then we would have had our Mystic as still another body to go with Spell Thief. I'm a little surprised the opponent goes for an Omnixilus here. Thought they would have at least attacked in first or something. I'll go for the land. We'll go for the combat research. And we're actually going to attack for the face. Because we need the card draw. Do we find ourselves another threat? No, we find another combat research. That's not bad, but I'm going to hold on to it. That way, if our opponent does like another meat hook, like X3 to play around Shore Up, or a Liliana. We sadly still don't have a red source. Decline. Decline. And opponent gets an underdog. Well, we find that red source, but... yeah, no, this one's out of our hands here. Yeah, I can't do anything to recover from this because they can just keep plussing these. We'll lose another, like, 4 life. And, well, I could have put the combat research on before passing to them. And then, you know, use Shore Up during their turn to try to, like, give it hexproof. So that way, you know, their plus doesn't do anything beneficial to them for the Liliana. We'd still be looking at taking 4 plus an extra 3, and we're looking at a meat hook still potentially to punish us, because they don't mind killing off their own creatures. So, yeah. Indeed, it does happen, unfortunately. Yeah, so the thing is, it's most of our games we've lost have just been due to lands. The ones we win is often because the opponent just sees us resolve a couple flyers and just scoops immediately. Okay, I actually like the look of this hand. We have basically a little bit of everything. We're missing Ivy, but that's okay. Let's go for the coast. Pass it back. When it goes for Bankbuster, I'm actually going to go for the Mystic. This way, if the opponent has something that they're going to use as targeted removal, this I'm more fine with losing than most of our other cards. It also means that we can go for a turn now where we can play the Delver and hold Slip Out. Alright, Delver to board. I'm actually going to go double Delver here. It's a little risky because it could go Meat Hook X2 and we wouldn't be able to get around it. Alright. Discard Slip Out. Alright, we reveal, we get some transforms. Go for the Battlemage Captain. And one at each of these. If they block, we actually get to kill the blocker and still trample over to kill the Planeswalker. The only thing that blows us out here is if our opponent has a Meat Hook. Alright, we offer the pump. All of our creatures get an extra power boost. And we take them both out. So, cleared board state. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to try to play with Battlemage Captain. Is because we just cast one spell, all of our creatures get trample. And becomes such an issue. Opponent's going to get rid of both of those creatures, unfortunately. We'll save our spells, see what we can do. Sheoldred. Unfortunately, it gives them a lot of life gain and also drains us a lot of life. Bring down the lands. Makes the Gaia's Might a lot stronger. Only going for 3. They definitely have a much faster clock on us. Alright. Send the 3. Try to think, is there a way for us to really speed this up? I think we have to go for the pump here. Alright, we slip out, protect it. I was just thinking about the fact that they're just going to gain 2 life off this draw, an extra 2 life. So in order for me to get them down low enough where we might be able to have a chance to kill them, would have been getting the extra damage through. If they had actually blitzed that, I think that would have just been the end of us, right? Because that would have been 7, 8, 9. We'd be too low to be able to do anything. They actually could have just crewed with this to get in that extra 4. Alright. Well. Unfortunately, mono black does mono black things. There's just so much removal in mono black that gets used. I know our creature dies to the death touch, but yeah, that's just good game. Multiple Sheoldreds for our opponent with that much removal. Yeah, it's really hard to handle that. One of the reasons why I was thinking we may just need to include like a Spell Pierce is just to play around Meat Hook Massacre and Liliana, specifically just for mono black. Now there is the idea of maybe having them also in there to also help us against board wipes from white decks, but it's really just the mono black decks I was thinking I need Spell Pierce for. Alright. We'll keep. We have all the mana colors. Unfortunately, it is all slow lands. Black, red, blue for our opponent. Pass it back. Alright, so opponent goes for a Fable. Gives us a chance to resolve a creature and still hold up mana. All blue sources, so we can still hold up Slip Out or Shore Up. Are you away from getting to Diamond Tier? Well, best of luck to you, Hench. I would take a hit. Oh, why do I have to keep seeing Sheoldred? Alright. Go for Ivy. The problem is it's now combat research, unfortunately, just makes it so that way we kill ourselves faster. I'm trying to think, is there a way that we can still do something here? Unfortunately, I think this is just already the end of this match. Children hits the board, and we lose all of our draw advantages that we could get. And they end up gaining life, which puts them in such a hard position. Block like this. Slip this out. Copy it. Is there a chance that we could get something that allows us to get lethal? Battlemage actually is really strong. But we don't have our large pump spells right now. How much damage can we actually push right now? Let's see, we're looking at 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, let's see. I'm trying to think, how do we do this? This only costs 1. Put this here. Take the action. Swing 4. I can only afford to draw 1 card. Go for Battlemage. And unfortunately, that's just going to do it there. They just swing wide and we lose. Alright, response to that, we shore this up. Take action. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and give them the scoop. Because at this point, it doesn't matter what they attack us with. Urtai's forced draw puts us at 2. We draw for turn and are dead. Oh, man. It's actually really hard to create a deck that's this low cost to the ground in 3 colors. I think after this match, I'm going to revisit the deck, see if there's something we can do to change it, to give it a little more consistency. Alright, no threats in hand, so we'll hit Mulligan. We'll keep this one. I'm going to try to be greedy and put the land on the bottom. We'll go for Delver. Start potentially going at the opponent's removal spells. Alright, Surge. I think they had to have just drawn that, otherwise they would have probably played that during our turn. Alright, unfortunately we miss our land drops. I'm not being very greedy with the lands, I thought, but then I realized, I guess 22 is just not gonna, you know, let us draw consistently. We're a deck that's all 2 costs, so I didn't want to flood, so I went with only 2 lands, like 22 lands instead of 24. And the fact that I've come across Sheoldred so many times is so frustrating. Removal spell, we get hit for 4. Deck refuses to say, here, let me give you that 3rd land. You start within your open hand, you put it on the bottom. Clearly you didn't want more lands. But take the hit. Alright. Pass it back to the opponent. We will probably die this turn. Let's see here. So, how much can I pump this for? It's going to pump it for 3. So that's enough to kill the Sheoldred right there. And I can use Battlemage to block here. And Short will say not save it. So, how do I deal with this? Might here. Alright, they let that resolve. I'll attempt this as well to try to finish off the Glutton. Kind of greedy because it lets the opponent, if they had an instant speed spell, kill off either of our creatures in response, but... Alright, Trespasser comes down, exiles 2 cards. They attack, they exile another card. There's enough creatures in the graveyards. We're dead on attack triggers next turn. Oh boy. Alright, well I'm going to take a look at the deck. See what we can do to maybe fix the consistency on this. I just realized something I probably should include in the deck is maybe Hadi Jin. And I don't think the combat research is paying off. So we'll trim it down to only 2. Mystics, since we're bringing in Jin, don't feel necessary because we have an extra body, and I have to make sure we have enough support spells to trigger these kind of cards, as well as Delver. So we'll cut that out. Actually, you know what? Alright, this gets us the Spell Pierces that I was thinking that we need. Actually, I don't like this art as much as I like this one. Because I like this, it actually looks like it's piercing through. See, anything else that we feel that we need? I feel like maybe we have too many of these dual lands, which is a little awkward to say, considering we had trouble drawing our land.